Hello. So it's Chaoszine, and today we're talking to Before the Dawn.
Yes.
Today, because Before the Dawn is now issuing a new album, and there is a reunion Geek Tonight. Could you tell how it happened that the band decided to reunite and you started to do the Before the Dawn again?
It was completely accidental. It wasn't supposed to. It was never like on a planning board. It all started basically when the first part came with the pandemic, when the whole geek calendar went completely empty for me and Juho. Juho was already member in Swallow the Sun, and also the main boss of the Stay Heavy Records that was responsible of the previous, like older Before the Dawn albums. He owns all the Beaver bars, or is running them. So everybody got fucked up. His bars were closed, our calendars were empty, so we decided like let's do vinyl version of the Deadlight. And then we decided inside the band that let's do one new song as a like a gift or surprise for the fans, not just print the same album in a different format. And that kind of like left a small spark. It was really nice to be in the studio to do this kind of music again, but then that slowly faded until Paavo did the Dead song in national TV in Voice of Finland 2022. And we started talking with Paavo, maybe doing some music together. I wrote a song, he wrote the vocals, we recorded the song, and when the song was ready, the first thing that came into my mind, like, sounds like Before the Dawn, but better. And I couldn't backtrack that idea anymore. And then I started like calling other, like various people inside the like inner circle, like our old sound guy, and of course Pyry and Juho. Like, I have this idea, I have this song, and what do you think about if this would be Before the Dawn? And everybody was on board. And then I called Paavo. What do you think of we doing this song under this name? So it was never, there was no plan at all. It's just accidents in a row, and now here we are.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Paavo, how you first encountered Before the Dawn, and why you choose the song from Before the Dawn for the Voice of Finland?
Well, it was when I was something like 13 years old. Then I heard Deadlight, and more specifically that song. And I was like, yeah, that's a hell of a song, and I wanted to check the whole discography, and that's how I got a lot more great songs, and and that song just stuck to me, and it's just like one of my favorite songs ever. So it was pretty easy to choose songs for the TV show, because I wanted to have a song that is hard enough that I can show the growling parts and the clean parts, and like I always like the balance between heavy and the softer stuff, so that was pretty easy choice.
Yeah, I noticed, I watched the song yesterday, The Voice of Finland. I noticed that how it showcases different vocals. It's a great choice. Yeah, and how it feels, Paavo, to be an actual Before the Dawn?
Well, I don't know. I still can't quite grasp the idea, but it's cool, like kind of like a dream come true. So I've loved the band for many years, and yeah, this is great.
So there is now different lineup in the band, and the sound obviously changed. Tuomas, how can you describe the change in the sound comparing to last albums, like before the Burial of the Mat?
Well, from my perspective, it sounds better, because of course, like a lot of people focus Before the Dawn on this Deadlight album era, but the last album we released, The Rise of the Phoenix, had no clean vocals at all. It had only my growlings, and it was basically like my pathway to Wolfheart. Mm-hmm. If you listen to the whole discography of Before the Dawn until Wolfheart, it's very clear transition. So it's to me, like, of course, I compare this new album and new sound to the last album we made, which was, of course, Rise of the Phoenix. So it's everything sounds better. we are going back to the roots of the band with this album. So I hear, of course, the changes differently than a lot of people. But of course, we never would have considered the comeback if the whole band wouldn't feel that this is a better version. You of course, like being buried for 10 years, you don't want to come back with anything less than you stopped with. Of course, you want to do something that you know that is going to be better. So, to me, it's an upgrade only.
Right. Can you tell a little bit how you were recording the album? I know that Wolfhard, you mentioned in the last interview about Wolfhard that you went in a cabin somewhere in the woods and you were like all together. Was it the same as before the band, or it's more conventional way?
Well, with the Wolfhard it was easier because I knew like 1 year ahead roughly when we're gonna do the album, so we could schedule and plan things like with a lot more time. Now we didn't know from the moment we knew that Before the Dawn is coming back, it was mainly just months when we started recording the album. So it was a lot like a shorter time span, but it went like pretty standard way that I used to do albums with different bands already. I do the demo version of the songs, then we go those demos through with different guys, and then we start recording. So nothing that special. I think the Wolfhard example you mentioned, that the whole band went into the cabin and spent there for 1.5 weeks, like no connection with the modern world. That was special. Now we went back to like the regular studio work.
Right. Quick question about lyrics. I like to ask about lyrics sometimes. So, especially song Downhearted, I read the lyrics. There is some mysterious she who is in the song. Can you expand a bit what is the lyric is about in this?
I never want to dig too deeply, analyze, because I understand that what I mean with the lyrics is something the listeners would never understand. If you have a lyric that touches you somehow, it's because you have your own connection with some parts of the lyrics or the whole, or you have a perception for the story. But I never want to underline my story too much. But I have a habit of using her or she when I talk about like certain personal stuff. But yeah. That's only scratching the surface, but that's only what you're gonna get from the lyrical side.
All right, and you have that first Geek Tonight in Lahti. Can you tell a little bit more? You mentioned it will be like very epic on social networks. So can you tell a little bit how it will be for those who will not be able to see it?
Well, I can only hope that it will be epic at this point. You should ask this again in 12 hours and I might have a... No, I'm not going to have a different answer. It's going to be awesome. We're going to play the longest set we ever played. We're going to have the biggest light setup that we ever used. So it's and of course I really like the whole how things accidentally went into a very cool way with certain numbers and years, because it's the same venue where we buried the band 10 years ago. And now the first album is 20 years old, and at the same time the debut album of Wolfhard is 10 years old. So there's a lot of big round numbers around this gig, so I'm sure no matter how it goes, it could be like a complete farce, in theory, maybe. Like the building might burn down or something. Like it can be like I don't know. But anyway, it doesn't matter how it goes. When I look back 10 years from now, this gig will be a huge part of my musical career. So it's gonna be anyway amazing. It can be amazing failure or amazingly good thing.
Yeah, so far you released like 3 singles, I think. How was the reception?
Well, it's like from the album 2 singles, but the Downhearted was like a standalone song that we re-recorded and rearranged for the album. So that's kind of like one version that people heard. Of course, there's been like a diverse feedback because Paavo replaced 2 vocalists at the same time. Not just clean vocals, but I don't do the growling anymore. So the whole vocal range of Before the Dawn changed, which is like a huge amount of what people hear from the music. But there's like the funny thing is like there's like the other side that says like this is not like telling me that this is not Before the Dawn, which I know it is. It's not like it's not something even open for discussion. And then there's some people saying like they don't understand why I even have Wolfhard. Why I wasted 10 years doing Wolfhard and didn't do this already then. So like, and then you're between.
Yeah. How you came to the decision you will not be singing in Before the Dawn? Why you moved behind the drums?
I never wouldn't want to be like a frontman in two bands at the same time. The same reason why I play drums in Dawn of Solids and let Mikko be the frontman. I have no desire of being a frontman to begin with. So, but I can do it because it comes more naturally with Wolfhard because I do the main growling, so it makes sense for me to stand in the middle. But that's the only reason. I'm not like particularly happy being in the spotlight, and doubling that would never be like my thing. And I love to play drums, so to me this is ideal. I don't need to be in the front. I get to play drums, so.
Yeah, I saw you have a Geek Tonight with Volkart. Are you gonna make some tours together, like two bands, or Before the Dawn will be touring alone? And what are the tour plans for Before the Dawn?
We're gonna do like double duty tours, like one in Finland, one European one, and we have 2 festivals in Finland also where we play at the same day. Super convenient for me. Like I get to be home as much as possible while I tour as much as possible. So I rather like leave home once and do 2 gigs and then come home than be away for 2 days. So.
Right, and I know you are usually very particular about choosing the best musicians for a project. I just have a quick question: how Pyro Hanski was chosen to play the bass?
He was the member of the band 2013. He played bass on the last album, Rise of the Phoenix, and that was also like the main condition for the whole comeback, that it has to be the same lineup that ended the band. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. Bringing a new vocalist is mandatory anyway, because we needed to have a vocalist. But changing any other member from the last original lineup would have been too much. Then I wouldn't see it as a Before the Dawn anymore. So Pyro was the last standing bass player of Before the Dawn. So of course he was the only option.
Yeah, I think we are approaching the end of the interview. Any final words for the fans?
See you at the gigs.
Yeah, I hope you listen to our songs and we'll see you on the gigs.
Thank you.
Thank you.